As you talk about your journey from leaving, developing Microsoft AR to going into ARK.
Well, I got into working on HoloLens at Microsoft because it was cutting edge, it was new. Honestly, I didn't know what I was doing until I got there, but then in retrospect, I was like, yeah, this is a good opportunity. But for me, I got away from games and I wanted to get back into games. And so when we got near the end of HoloLens development, I was kind of looking around to see what to do. And it looked like a lot of the people that were my favorite people from the games industry were kind of itching to do something together as well. And that's kind of where ARK was born. We started talking about working on a project together, didn't know what it was at the time or what it would become. But after we started really fleshing it out, we decided, hey, there's a real opportunity here to do a dinosaur survival game that is more than just a survival game. And we just started throwing ideas around, and that's what led to the decision to make ARK and bringing on more people and eventually releasing it only 9 months after we started.
What do you think it is about the genre, the survival kind of build your own base and manage your resources type of game that makes it so popular?
I think it's the flexibility and the freedom to build your own story. It's kind of like the old choose your own adventure books, It's like whatever you want to do in the game that day, that week, or that month, you can do it. People, if you want to sit there and focus on building the biggest base or building a great garden that's self-sustaining, or create content for your Twitch followers, or create a role-playing server, you can do that inside games like this. And ARK is especially great at it because we really appeal to the role-playing aspect by putting a lot of new items, taking feedback from the community, supporting mods. People are taking mods that other creators are making, integrating it into their content creation, and I think that's what's really exciting for people.
So what role does the community play in a game like this?
Well, the community is always giving us their feedback. We're listening to them. We're helping get them involved in the new content by running contests and encouraging them to try out things, to give us their feedback, take beautiful photos and make videos and create more content of the stuff we put in the game. And we are a dedicated community team that sits there and every day works with the players in the community of ARK to see what's working, what isn't, and what they would like to see in our future updates.
Talk about your new expansion, Scorched Earth.
So Scorched Earth is a beautiful new environment. It's as big as the original island is, but it's got a lot more play area because there's no ocean. So we've got vast dunes that have oases and ruins in them, and there's over 50 new items and structures. There's 13 new creatures, and there's a new boss with a lot of new loot you can get. And all of this stuff, unlike some games, is not separated from the base game. All of this stuff can exist in the island. People are going to be bringing things back. It might get stolen from them. It might be gifted to other players that maybe don't have the expansion. So the expansion cross-pollinates all of the players instead of segregating them, which is something that's really important for us. If anyone follows our development, they'll see we're doing lots of updates all the time. A lot of these updates come very quickly, and then we get feedback from the community. And our expansion packs are just like that, except they're a huge update, like massive, and that's what Scorched Earth is. Spent a lot of time and energy to put this together based on feedback of how players would like to see the game evolve, and this stuff will get integrated back into the main game in terms of all of that new content coming back to the game for everybody to play, as well as we go towards release with ARK, a lot of the things that we've liked and learned about the expansion in terms of how creatures work and animations work and optimizations gets put back into the base game as well.
You guys think that the timing when you released your game, right off of Jurassic World helped it rise in popularity?
Oh, definitely. That was one thing that was pushing us to get to that goal, right? When we started working, we initially planned to launch around November, but we saw the movie coming and we're like, we have to hit this date. There's nothing, it would be the worst thing if we missed it, because it's a missed opportunity, and it turned out to be a great decision to really push for that date.
Games like these can be really intimidating to new players. How do you introduce a new player to the world of ARK Survival?
Well, our community actually is somewhat welcoming to new players. It might seem weird, some other survival games don't have that, but when players get in, they don't know what to do. A lot of them ask questions in chat on the server. They get items gifted to them quite frequently from other players. Of course, we're not going to rely on this when the game ships. We're going to have more of a tutorial that kind of walks people through how to survive and how to live in the world of ARK. That's one of the things as we go towards launch that we really want to polish. The UI, the new player experience, and make it so people don't necessarily have to go to the ARK wiki to figure out how everything works. And through the Explorer Note system, we'll be giving players a lot of information that they would normally go to the internet to find. They'll be able to find some of this stuff in gameplay, certain recipes, what types of kibble and food creatures like when you're taming them. All these little hints and things they currently just kind of find out from trial and error from the community. We'll put it into the game some way so that they can discover this stuff more organically.
So new players can get an idea of, like, because it's a time reward system, how long would it take a new player who entered the game to obtain and ride a T-Rex, given how many hours?
Well, it depends actually, because players can tweak the time it takes. We've given players all the sliders. Say they don't have a lot of time, but they still want to play the game legitimately without entering cheat commands. In their single player game or starting a dedicated server or a peer-to-peer server with their friends, they can tweak up the slider on the tame time so that it goes much faster. You know, you could probably get to taming a T-Rex through the fastest settings in maybe like 4 hours or something, 5 hours, if you know how you're playing and you really want to skip through a lot of that stuff. But if you're playing the game the way it is on the official servers, it's going to take you a lot of time. You're talking like 20, 30 hours of gameplay before you're like maybe taming a T-Rex for the first time. So,
the last question is, did you ever imagine your game would get this big, this fast?
Not at all. I mean, we hoped it would be successful, but we didn't know how successful it would be. I mean, it's almost 6 million units across all platforms right now. And for us, it just means we want to do more for the fans. Like, we want to deliver more content, and we want to continue to develop the game, and that's kind of what we're doing here with Scorched Earth. As we go into what happens to a game after it releases, how you continue to deliver content that players love and keep it fresh and not just make the rest of the game obsolete. So that's the kind of stuff we're playing with now, is like expanding the content for the future life of the game once it releases soon.
You guys have a hard date on that release date, or to be determined?
We're still working on this winter for the final release of the game. We're releasing on all platforms simultaneously, PS4, Xbox, and Steam. And so based on when all of those things coalesce, we'll have a release date sometime later this year.